No, 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 no. Oh yeah!
Buick isn't Buick without GM. Today cars like this, we don't see them. But if I drove you in a Park Avenue, where you're the only Buick lover in the city, who could stand me?
1997 Buick Park Avenue. This is the greatest track car I've ever driven out of the 4 track cars I've ever driven. Grab your flip phones, turn on network news, fold your hands over your Lions Club belly, and speak entirely in vowels as you rise from your wicker chair. A-I-O-U. Because it's a Buick Park Avenue. How can you handle this much contemporary luxury? Climate control for the passenger. Get up early to vote in the primaries. Walk into the firehouse with your dick out. I fuck Kenny G's saxophone. 97 Park Avenue. If you want to reveal a person's true character, get their food order wrong, or criticize their mid to late 90s luxury sedan, because giving Buick the business for trying to be more like Jaguar is how you make lifelong enemies. Jaguar, war. Lifelong enemies. Like a guy whose order you got wrong 7 years ago when you were a waiter, and you still remember him. Out of all the other people who lost their shit over broccoli accidentally finding its way into a Western omelet. Because that guy kind of looked like Patrick Dempsey and wore a face that screamed, "Compromises in this relationship are building up like a wall of plaque around my patience." Cars like these are easy to get defensive about because they're the kinds of cars that don't get made in these body styles anymore. Man, the 90s just keep getting older and older. It's like picking on an endangered species, because who's really giving the middle finger to the blue whale or the Cross River gorilla? You know what I mean? And yet, for as lovable as these cars are, we have to at least pay lip service to a fair assessment. So, here it goes. Originally introduced in 1991, the Park Avenue used what was, at that point, a 6-year-old General Motors C platform. The C platform was front-wheel drive and managed to be in continuous use by GM from 1985 to 1996. In addition to the first-generation Park Avenue, the C platform was used on the 85 to 93 Cadillac DeVille, the 87 to 93 Cadillac 60 Special, the 85 to 90 Buick Electra, and yes, the first-generation Park Avenue. And if you're wondering why I'm spending so much time talking about a platform and not talking about what it's like to hoon this thing around the track, because holy crap, this is the greatest day, this is awesome, but we'll get to that. This is basically General Motors trying to take a step from Smokey and the Bandit in the 1970s to the adventures of Buckaboo Banzai in the 1980s. This thing looks ancient now because by the time the Park Avenue actually went into production, the C platform had been around for half a decade, and the auto industry had seen a host of changes, from the rise of the Jeep brand to the proliferation of Japanese imports. In a way, it was already outdated, and it showed in that first model, which the LA Times referred to as an imperfect clone of Jaguar, swaddled in a baby blanket of what they called dime store novelties, like a glowing warning panel that indicates whether a parking light has burned out, or a tachometer that doesn't do much more than clutter up the display on what was basically a 4-speed automatic. And yet, GM ran with this first generation into 1996, the previous year to this car, because for the most part, it was a multi-meal take on the Mercedes Jaguar and BMWs of the world. It looked good, drove well, and you could afford it. In its first year of release, the Park Avenue sold 117,075 units, and although that dropped steeply for 1992, with the Park Avenue selling only 63,390 units, the sales figures never dropped below 50,000 until 1996, just prior to the debut of the second generation Park Avenue in October of that year, and that's the car you're looking at right now. As if recognizing the downward trend the Park Avenue was facing, the second second generation saw some major overhauls, such as a changeover to the G platform, even though GM continued to refer to it as the C platform. Sort of like the mid-90s insistence on referring to No Doubt as ska, when it's really just a pop rock band that might as well have been called Gwen Stefani and the Empty Calories. Now, Tragic Kingdom is a classic 90s album, but my farts alone have more walking bass lines and off-color rhymes. This particular car right here was the second generation, and it lasted from 1997 to 2005, and made generous use of an updated Series 2 variant of the 3800 series V6 engine. This base model offered the 3.8-liter six-cylinder, making 205 horsepower at 5,200 RPM and 230 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. Fuel mileage was roughly 19 city and 29 highway, about the same as Subarus from the 90s, and standard features included your usual power steering, power windows, all-season highway radials, and Dynaride strut and coil springs. But you could really gussy up your Park Avenue if you were willing to shell out a couple hundred more dollars for upgrades like a power sunroof, CD player, leather seats, and traction control. The base model was also the very last U.S. Buick with a factory hood ornament for the aesthetically minded. Sure, the Park Avenue would get a third generation that would carry it further into the 21st century, but the fact of the matter is that this body style isn't something you're likely to ever see on the road again like you used to. Which is why people who own Buicks have such a pride about keeping them on the road while simultaneously sloppy modding them and rally crossing them and lemons racing the ever-loving shit out of them, because contradictions are as American as hogging the passing lane and just sitting there for 7 miles of highway. How are people still doing this and getting away with it in the year of our Lord 2018? I'm not even from this planet, and it pisses me off. But I digress. Ultimately, part of the charm of Buick is that in trying to compete with the big boys of the luxury sedan market, they walked the middle line between full-on luxury, like the Lexuses or maybe Mercedes of the world, and the Johnny Throttle-body Jeeps that were gaining in popularity. 90s Buicks committed without fully committing, and it's rare that that strategy ever actually works. Yet, here we are, with a low-key automotive icon. But Buick would have had to gone 3 times as far in engineering and ultimately cost if they wanted the Park Avenue to be a potential Lexus killer. It never would have happened. Because for as simple a life lesson as it might sound, committing to things is hard. But you have to make a choice if you want people to take you seriously. It's like the difference between ghosting a girl and actually being upfront about how you feel. One is a dick move, and the other at least offers credence to the notion that you're an adult. But the problem is that ghosting, in a Dennis system sort of way, leaves a window cracked slightly open so that you could go back to a possibility you previously shut out. I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. And yet, whether it's car modifications or women, it's important to make a damn choice. Because being decent means committing to a choice that might be permanent. Because Buick likes to ride on the 1930s all the time. Maybe the 1950s. That's when it meant Buick quality. So what you got in the 1990s is just a general GM platform made to remember the good old times. But those times are changing.
Turn in. Tight.
No throw. Good. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And this car can still wheel. This was a cream pie open eye moment with this Park Avenue at Harris Hill. Monica explained to me that cars, even boats like this Buick, will track way harder than you think they will. Because body roll isn't bad. Do you hear me, FRS owners? Body roll isn't bad. All it means is the suspension is doing its thing. Monica said that a car will tilt over in a turn until the suspension reaches its limit, and then it will stop tilting.
Brake, little brake, tiny little brake.
Turned in too soon. Brake more.
Brake more. Hard. Plowing, look at that, it holds it. You were right. The weight of the car goes over, and it just holds it. Okay.
Tires aren't in.
Go faster.
Yes, just a little bit. Just a little bit
faster. A little bit faster.
More.
Faster. Shift down, kick down. There's the kick down.
The car won't roll over. Look, this hand-me-down Park Avenue leans over until it's done leaning, and then it holds on. Look, it's racing. And with a bent seat, and sloppy steering, and Three Musketeers brake feel, and a 3.8-liter V6 in front-wheel drive. Slam that column shift into D for don't worry about it, and make a line. And I'm no longer frightened at Harris Hill. I'm not afraid anymore.
Go, run wide.
Really tight turn? No.
No, tight. Oh, fuck. Wow. Oh, it drifts. It drifts a little bit. I think we can do one more.
The tires are crying, springs are creaking, and I'm bracing myself against the footwell, and I'm not scared. I'm going slow, that's what's up. And this Park Avenue is acting at 30 miles an hour what the Sharkworks 997 would do at positive rate gear up speed. And here we go again. Whee! I wanted to stay out all day with the same model of car that the character Ron Swanson drove in Parks and Recreation. But as with family bequeathment, nothing changes between generations and even brake fluid. And this thing, this Park Avenue is running on the original My Heart Will Go On brake fluid. Old brake fluid can't handle getting squeezed. It just starts bubbling and then your brake pedal falls to the floor. Monica knew this, and because she's a savage, said, it'll be alright. I'll just make a lap without using the brakes. That makes a race car driver. And there's something bittersweet symphony about driving a Park Avenue fast. My freshman year in high school was 1996-1997, so by junior year, 1998-1999, I had a driver's license. And I was permitted to drive the family car, which in 2 years since its new purchase lost its new worship status. You can't drive the car, it's too new. You can't wear those shoes in the car, it's too new. You gotta shower before using the car, it's too new. But now it's not new anymore, not by 2 years. Which meant I got to drive the family car to school because it's a home game and I'm in the marching band. And by the time the game's over and I return my uniform and bass drum and all of us clean the band room, it's 10:30 p.m. You don't want to have to wait around for that. No, you don't. I can drive myself home. Yeah, it's cool. Only 30 minutes before my license turns into a pumpkin and it takes 15 minutes to get home. Gotta make some time up. Sure, spin that V6 up and make it go V6. It's given all it can give, but you wanted more than I could give. And my arms out the window on a cool late September night, and I'm high on sovereignty. And now I'm driving a family car obnoxiously like I always wanted to when I was 17. Best day ever, best day ever, best day ever, best day ever.
Go. Good. Now slow down.
Okay, slow down. Slow down. Turn in.
Yes. Good.
Oh. And Josh, you gotta try this. This car's amazing.
I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I have never experienced a more crystal example of slow car fast is better than fast car fast. Dude, get a 90s boat and take it racing. Well, this is the end of RCR Austin, but I liked it so much that we're coming back in October, in a few months, very soon. We're coming back to Harris Hill, and I gotta find, in the Austin area, old American boats. Old crap from like the 70s to the 90s. I gotta find 4 cars to bring back to Harris Hill. The more inappropriate for the racetrack, the better. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good week.
I have found a Buick. I have found a friend. This review, darling, I'd do it all again. I have found a Buick. I have found a friend. Cars like this, darling, I wish they'd make again.